All right, so take a moment to ground yourself. And such a simple thing to say, not always so easy to do, but we have this daily practice in our yoga practice when we begin of knowing what it feels like to just close your eyes and drop into the earth a bit. So, with all the years of practice you've had, notice that it's kind of an immediacy that when you close your eyes and offer grounding to yourself, that maybe it arises, a familiar place for you. And I hope so. I hope it's a familiar place for you. So, as you feel your body drop its weight just a little bit, notice where you're touching, maybe your ankles or your sit bones or your thighs or whatever is touching down. Give some extra weight to those places and feel a sense of a rising tide running through the channel of your body. So as we ground, as we root, we also rise. It's just beautiful phenomenon of a relationship with the earth. Feel the wideness of your heart, the openness of your collarbones, a sense of your shoulder blades being supportive for you. And as you begin to notice your breath, pay attention to what's moving, what's not moving, where you could loosen up and get a little more free, where you need to kind of shore up and get a little more stable. Into the surrender across your face, the ease across your eyes and your jaw. As your breath starts to naturally slow down, just pay attention, notice just a couple of minutes of being present with yourself. What has shifted? What's changed? What has brought itself up to the surface? Ready, place your palms together at your heart. Just feel into the centering of the mind, the hands, the heart coming into unison together. Offer an intention here. It's the hands. Let's find our way onto our back. So, as you stretch out and lengthen in your body, have a moment of just nice ease and joy for um, the comfort of just being in your practice. And remember that this is all for you. Anything you want to do, do. Anything you don't want to do, don't do. Mostly just be with yourself. Okay, so let's stretch one side and stretch the other side and just invite and invoke a little bit of mobility in the body. Have a full breath while your arms are stretching out up there. All right, and then bring your knees into your chest and stretch your back a little bit. Maybe a little bit of movement, maybe not. And let's circle your knees, kind of rolling them in one direction a handful of times, and then rolling them in the other direction. All right, and let's open up the knees away from the mid and back into center. So just find that sense of freedom through your hip joints. All right, and then put your right foot on your left knee and hold on to your left hand on your right foot, right hand on your right knee, and just do some circles in a reverse pigeon pose. So just kind of circling through that hip joint within some external rotation. And go the circling the other way a couple of times. And then stretch to a big star on the ground. Feel the reaching of your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then exhale and draw your knees into your chest. Pick up your head so your back body opens. And then put your right foot on the ground and put your left foot on your right knee. Now you might stay here with your foot on the ground. You don't have to lift it a little closer. But if you want to, you can lift a little closer and bring your hand on your knee or on your foot and your other hand on your other knee and just get a little mobility, a little freedom in there. And notice, which direction you naturally went. And then just a couple of passes the other way. All right, and then one more time, a big star, stretching your limbs wide, reach into your fingers and your toes. And then draw your knees into your chest, lift your head up. Put your feet on the ground, arms out to the side, and let's have a nice windshield wipering of your knees left and right. Feel free to deepen this a little bit if you'd like. And then one more time, stretching your limbs, starring out. Roll your wrists here. And then draw your knees into your chest. Pick up your head. Put your head down. Keep your right knee in, left leg long on the ground. Give a good squeeze into that hip. Good squeeze into that knee and move your ankles and roll around in your toes. Such simple little things, but just getting a little range of motion and these joints in our body is just such a refreshing way to embody, as well as to just warm you up for bigger movements. Let's bring our left knee in, right leg long. Feel the openness of that right hip flexor. Hug into the left. Keep moving your ankles and your feet and just get some cobwebs out of your feet. Okay. Last time, spread your limbs wide on the ground. And then exhale, draw your knees in. Let's roll to our side and come up to your hands and your knees. All right, let's start finding our way, cat-cows. So as you come onto all fours, take your time. Feel your roots again, get grounded, and start to move through some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine. Taking your time to pay attention to how your spine's moving, how your breath is moving, and inviting that same gentle opening that we just had in the lower body into the upper body now. And then feel free to move in any way that feels good. You can move in your ribs, you can move in your hips, move in your head, your shoulders. And rest back towards child's pose and take the arms way out in front of you and reach them. Feel into that length. Spread your palms. Open up through your shoulders. Drop some weight into your hips. Let's walk the hands over to the left. So you have that big open space in the right side of your body. Drop into your hips. Take a deep breath here. Feel that nice freedom. Over to the other side and feel that length. Reaching your hips back. Feel the grounding of your palm. Come back up onto all fours. Move your spine around. Now ground yourself, hands and knees, and we're going to do some rib cage rolls. So ribs over to the right, ribs up toward the sky, over to the left and down. And of course, your head and your tail are going to find their spiral following the rib cage, but let your intention be about moving the ribs. Fill up your breath. Empty your breath. And then move your ribs the other way, just finding that mobility. Breathing deep. And now just let your head have a little bit of movement. Maybe you want to tuck your chin or reach your head or just move it however feels good. One last little wiggle, and let's take a twist. Reach your left arm up in the air, open up through your chest. Exhale and slide that shoulder under, feeling the deeper twist in your body. And feel free to, turn this more into a shoulder stretch by going a little less deep into the twist or going deeper into the twist, whatever your body feels the need for right now. Now reach that arm all the way up. Hand comes down onto the ground. Second side, reaching the arm up. Exhale, sliding the arm down. Full breaths here. Enjoy, every bit of our practice can be enjoyable, but especially I feel the beginning can be so nice to just welcome home each of our little parts, kind of integrate and open up. Reaching that arm back up in the air, place the hand down when you feel ready. Okay, sit back onto your heels for a moment and let's stretch our hands. So we're gonna have our palms facing the ground, fingertips pointing toward your knees, and then open up the forearms a little bit. I feel like I'm neglectful sometimes in remembering to make sure we stretch this part in our yoga practice. Everybody's spending a lot of time on computers and phones and maybe gardening and other things that really challenge your hands and forearms. And then give your hands a good little shake and then switch sides, palms facing up, fingers still pointing toward knees. Your elbows might bend, so see if you can turn the eyes of the elbows forward and drop back toward your haunches, only to the place where your body can maintain stability. Open across your collarbones, drop the backs of your hands deep into the ground. And then release. Give those hands a good shake. Inhale, come up onto your shins, arms coming up to the sky, and then exhale, coming back towards child's pose. And walk your hands forward. We're going to come into puppy pose before dog pose. So palms on the ground, drop your chest toward the ground, lift your hips high there over your knees, open up through your shoulders. Come back onto all fours. Spread out your hands. Hopefully your hands have recovered enough from those stretches to find their way into a dog pose. You can always give them another shake if you need to. Feel your way up. Now we get into the full body here. So yield. First, just yield. Give your weight, push off, and then find movement. Maybe your heel, one drops down, then the other. Maybe your hips move a little bit. Maybe your head or your shoulders. Just see what needs to open up in this posture. Such a great way to keep those Achilles open and free. I read something yesterday that flexibility in your Achilles has a lot to do with your capacity as you age to stay stable and mobile. So let's just, give a little extra love to those Achilles, keep them open and free. I think dog pose is such a, probably everybody here doesn't suffer with too much tightness in there because of all the dog poses we do. Drop weight into the index finger mounts. Push off your hands. Feel the heart lift the hips. And then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Feel free to shimmy and shake and bounce. Anything that feels good, letting your spine open up a little bit more. And then a halfway lift. Maybe hands are on blocks. Maybe they're on your legs. Maybe they're on the floor, wherever you like to be. Pause in this half lift and let's bend one knee and straighten the other. Stretch your heel all the way down and your hip back. And then switch sides all the way down with your heel. The hip stretches back. back and forth, letting your hips find an offline movement. All right, and then find neutral. Feel the bottom of your feet, spread the bones, feel the heart lengthen and lift. You can choose to fold forward again, or if you know you tend to get dizzy on the way up, just come up from here, because we're already halfway there. Inhale and rise all the way to the sky, lifting your arms. Take a deep breath. Let's cactus. Open the arms. Give a good squeeze to that back body. Open across your chest. And then reach your arms back up in the air. And let's take our arms straight out to the side. Palms facing the wall. Spread your palms. Let's do a few shoulder rolls here. So keeping the hands very open, spreading them. Fingertips toward the sky. I'm going backwards. Maybe you're going forwards. We're going to go both directions. So it's okay, no matter what you're doing. All right, and then change directions. Go the other way. Keep your shoulder blades steady on your back. Finding breath. All right, and then reaching your arms up. Interlace your fingers. Press your palms straight up toward the sky. Maybe your feet want to separate a little bit more so you have a wide base. And we're going to reach up and over to one side. Finding breath. Then up and over to the other side. And just feeling the ribs open again. And then back to neutral. And release your arms down. Give them a shake. Swing the arms maybe a little bit deeper if you want. And then shrug your shoulders up toward your ears and then let them go. All right, interlace your hands behind your back. Open across your chest. Feel that nice width. Now, if this is enough of a stretch for you, maybe you stay here. If you want more, lean, bend over. Come into Uttanasana, bend your knees a lot, and let your arms leave your back. Okay, so you do either way, standing or leaning over, whatever feels like a better stretch for the heads of your arm bones, the fronts of your shoulders. Full breaths, let those deltoids open up. Release your arms, and let's all find our way into a forward fold if you're not already there. Inhale for a halfway lift. Belt and ground. Let's step the left foot back. Come to a lunge. Okay, ground your feet. Feel your foot placement. Open up through your heart, allowing those hip flexors to start opening. And let's bend and straighten your front knee. Such a beautiful way to remind yourself to breathe here, movement and breath. See if you can find a little inner spiral as you straighten those legs. All right, and then find your lunge. We're going to come into a twist. So right hand can be on the ground or on a block, whichever is best for you. And we're going to swoop the arm open like a backstroke stroke. And then swing it around. Twice more. Big open swing of that shoulder and arm. Try to let the swing live in your spine too, not just in your shoulder joint. And after 3 passes, hang out here in the twist. Shoulders away from the ears, hug to the midline with your legs. Feel that right femur bone lift. Stretch your hand to the sky, root your hand into the earth. And release your hands down. Step back to dog pose. Feeling into the fullness of your posture. Notice how your left side may feel different than your right. When you feel ready, come forward into a plank. Hold yourself very steady here. Push the ground away. Engage those serratus muscles in your ribs. Find your breath. You can put your knees down, find the ground. A couple of shoulder rolls here. When you feel ready, inhale to a cobra pose, big open chest. Melting down on your exhale. Arms come wide, maybe legs come a little wider, and open yourself up again. Feel your hips open up, your belly, your spine, your chest. And then exhale. and release. Put your hands under your head. Windshield wiper your knees. Just let your back relax. Come back onto all fours. Right, so a little bit of movement, a little bit of swivels. Let's bring our left foot in front, right knee behind. Lift your back knee up off the ground and feel your lunge. Find your breath. And let's go ahead and start to move, bending and straightening the front knee. Feeling the fullness of your breathing. Inner spiral those thighs again when your legs get straight. And then we'll find a lunge and ground here. Left hand can be on the block, left hand can be on the ground, however you want to create this twist. We'll bring our right arm up in front of us, sweep it back 3 times. Okay? Hug to the midline with your inner thighs. Try to let this action be more than just your shoulder rotating. See if you can get your whole spine to do that mobility. How's your breath? And then after 3 times, and remember your back knee can come down on the ground if you need a little extra support. Always ways to support yourself, always. Okay, reach that arm up in the air, shoulders away from the ears. 12 and 6 o'clock, find that reach through collarbones to hands. Hug to the midline, keep moving that left femur bone up. And then exhale and release your hands down. Dog pose again. Feel into that beautiful length in your body. Open things up. Maybe feel your Achilles one more time. And then come forward into a plank. And hold that stability. Shoulder blades down the back. Hug your ribs. Feel your breath travel to your side bodies. The core is engaged. A little lift of the inner thighs toward the sky. And find the ground one more time. Let's roll over onto our right side. Grab onto your left ankle. And let's open up our quad here. All right, so we do this stretch, pretty frequently. See what you can do to let your whole femur bone move away, kind of like stretch your knee away from your pelvis and draw your whole thigh bone back, all the while keeping your pelvis very stable. Try not to let your knee lift, keep it in line with your hip. How's your breathing? And then bring that knee close into your chest. And one more time, stretch it back. And one more time, bring it in. And one more time, stretch it back. Release that. Let's roll onto our back. Bring your knees to your chest. A little bit of rocking. A big open star. One more time. Spread your limbs. Wiggle your wrists, your fingers, your toes, your ankles. Exhale, knees into your chest. And let's go to the second side. So roll onto your left. All right, we're going to bring our right knee up. And you can always put a block under your head if you need to or want to. Bring your right knee up high toward your chest. Hold on to the top of your right ankle. And let's stretch that thigh back. Just see what it feels like to stabilize the pelvis, to feel your femur bone lengthen and draw back. So opening up a lot. See if you can feel the muscle, all the quads. See how many fibers you can elicit a response in your quadriceps. Feel ready. Let's have a little knee toward chest. And then stretch it back again. Knee toward chest. And then stretch it back again. All right, and then let's release. Come onto your back, lying down. We're gonna move into some moving bridges here. So ground the four corners of your feet. Feel yourself get stable before you move, so you know where your pelvis is in space, you know where your spine is. You're gonna inhale and lift the hips up, arms come overhead and ground the four corners of your feet. And then exhale and lower your body back down. Once more, inhale, lifting your hips high. And then exhale and lowering your pelvis back down. Again, one last time, hips high, arms overhead, ground the four corners of your feet. And then exhale and lower your body back down. All right, a little bit of wiggle or windshield wiper, whatever you need. Let's find our way eventually back onto all fours. So move around in your spine. We'll get some strength built up in the back body now for some back bending that we're gonna do. Okay, so take your left leg behind you up in the air and just pulse it a few times. Make sure you're feeling into your glutes turned on, your hamstrings turned on. Engage your core. Okay. Reach the other arm out in front of you and find your balance. And notice when your body wants to balance, a new part of your brain just turns right on. And this is so good for us that we're putting a little deposit in the bank for our 90-year-old selves. Big breath in. And as we exhale, elbow and knee coming underneath. Inhale, stabilize your core, reaching that arm and leg out. Exhale, drawing it in. One more time, feeling that long spine. Exhale, drawing it in. All right, and let's put that hand and knee on the ground, either child's pose or just come up and shake your wrists, whatever, kind of helps you ease off your hands. And we'll find the second side. So now we're going to lift the other leg. Can't remember which one I said. I always do opposite for you. Pulse a couple of times till you feel your glutes. Make sure they're turned on. Make sure your hamstrings turned on. And then take your hand out in front of you and feel that sense of balancing. Press your hand and your shin into the ground. Look down. Engage your core. Reach outward. On your next breath out, we'll tuck in. Elbow and knee coming underneath. Inhale. Bringing it out. Exhale. Drawing it in. Inhale. Bringing it out. Stabilize in between so you really feel your core, your hips, your glutes, everything's working to stabilize you. And then place that hand down onto the ground. Come onto your shins and go ahead and give your hands a little shake if you need. Arms onto the ground. Curl your toes under. Dog pose. All right, so enjoy just being in this place of symmetry and balance, groundedness. Full breaths in. Exhale completely. Walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. The halfway lift. Growing your spine. Melt and fold again. Push off your feet. Rising up, reaching the arms upward. Feel a good spaciousness in your heart, a cactus of your heart again. And then let's release our hands down. Take your right foot forward and your left foot back. Round through your back heel so you have this sense of rooting. Press into your feet. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Reaching the arms up, ribs up off your hips. Feel that extension, ground through your feet. Breathe well. Enjoy this posture. Stay rooted in both feet. Feel your ribs lift off your hips. Maybe look up. And then release your hands down. Back foot comes forward, palms together. Find your breath. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Other foot down, back, round into your foot. Left foot is in front. Inhale, rising up, Virabhadrasana 1. Extend, lift your heart up to the sky. Feel your ribs lift off your hips, round into feeling the roots, the deep roots of your feet. Root them down to rise on up. Open your chest, heart lifting, full breaths. Hands coming down onto the ground. Take that foot back. Feel the extension again. Okay, we're gonna do come rest for a moment. This may or may not be a pose for you, but you want to move blocks and things out of your way because we're gonna do a flipping of the dog. So wild thing. So we're gonna start in dog pose, and if you aren't flipping your dog, you can just do the version where we lift one leg up and just open and just not bring your foot back behind you. So we'll start on our right. Start in dog pose. Feel that length. Extend through your spine. Breathing deeply. We'll lift our left leg up in the air. And when you're ready, stack open that hip and notice what happens in your torso. Try to keep a little lift underneath your right arm. Stretch like we did that quad stretch. Stretch from your hip to your knee. And then if you're ready, tip back, place that foot onto the ground and open up. Reach that arm, look behind you. Find your breath nice and stable with that right shoulder blade. And then come back, flipping your dog back up. Reach that leg up in the air, foot comes down onto the ground. So remember, I'm gonna move my blankets so I don't run into them. Remember to know your space. Okay, so you don't, because your eyes are not going where your foot is going, you wanna know your space. Okay, so we're coming into a dog pose again. This time, lift your right leg up and we'll stack open the right hip. And your pose might just stop here. Stretch belly to knee, open up, and then if it feels good, hand behind on the ground and bring that foot back behind you, open up through your chest. Find your breath. That side's still kind of hard for me to bear my weight on my arm. So if you're like me, you need to come out, and then reach that leg up in the air and come back to a dog pose. Come forward into a plank, holding yourself steady. You can always put your knees down if you need. And then find the ground. Breathing well. Feel how your spine changes shape as you breathe. And we're going to bring our arms out in front of us, thumbs up. Arms can be in line with your shoulders or a little wider, whichever is comfortable for you. We'll do alternates first, and then we'll lift everything up. So right leg and left arm, lifting, feel that whole line from your thumb to your foot. And then release, and let that go. Second side. Neck is long. When you're ready, you can let that go. Now, if arms overhead is hard for you, you can do this pose with your arms down at your sides. Okay, palms can face the ground. So we can lift everything, up, up, up. Arms, legs, whatever we can get off the ground, get off the ground. Arms can be overhead or down at your sides. Neck is long, breathe here. And then exhale and relax. Pick up your feet, head on your hands, windshield wiper your knees. All right, so bring your left knee up high toward your armpit. Look out over your left knee for a moment and just get that compression in that hip. And then we'll take a twist. So take the right arm over to the left side of your mat and swing open onto your back. Let your chest open. Let your knee leave the floor. Take a breath. back around. Second side, we're bringing our knee up toward our armpit. Look at your knees. So you're just having that one-sided stretch, compressing to the hip a little bit. And then we'll find our twist. We're going to take the left arm, cross it over to the right, and swing open onto your back. Full breaths here. Notice the openness of your body. Back around onto your front. Come up onto all fours. Let's move your spine around. We're going to come onto our back. Have a block handy. All right, so we're gonna see what it feels like for your arms. We're gonna do a bridge pose, and you can have your arms down at your sides, palms facing up. You can have your elbows bent with your fingertips facing toward each other and then pointing straight up toward the sky. Or you can do the more complex version of interlacing your hands behind your back. The challenge of interlacing your hands behind your back is that it makes, unless you're very, very open in your shoulders, it makes your shoulder internally rotate. And what we're really looking forward to here is an external rotation. So before we even come up, let's feel that external rotation. Everybody put your arms down next to your hips on the ground. Flip your palms open toward the sky and feel the heads of the arm bones roll open. So the armpit chest has a little light to see the day. And then relax and turn your palms down toward the ground and notice the internal rotation of your shoulders. Notice what happens to the armpit chest and the heart chest when you turn your palms open. So we have a little more availability for openness when we bring our hands like this. So you might want to try this as your version for a bridge, just palms open toward the sky instead of interlacing. But if you feel very open, then that's your version, okay? So find your breath, round the four corners of your feet. We're gonna lift up, climb onto the tops of your shoulders. So your shoulder blades are gonna move a little bit toward each other. And then roll the heads of the arm bones open again. Palms can lay flat. You can even press your thumb mounds down into the ground to help open up those shoulders. Lift your pelvis, stretch your knees away from your hips. Ground into the four corners of your feet. Open up across your heart. Full breath here. All right, and then release and lower back down. Now the second time we're going to repeat. You can either do it passively with this block underneath your pelvis, or if you want another active one, maybe try putting a block between your thighs. Again, emphasizing this external rotation of the shoulders. The shoulder blades kind of hug toward each other. Lift on up, pull your shoulders underneath you so your shoulder blades move toward the spine. The neck is nice and neutral. Breathing well. Feel your breath travel wherever it can go. Your ribs, your belly, let everything move. Even into the back of your ribs, let your breath travel. All right, and then release your shoulders down, okay? Take the block away, whether it was underneath you or in between your thighs, and just windshield wiper your knees for a moment, left and right. All right, we're going to start opening our hip flexors just a little bit. So put the block underneath your pelvis, and we're going to stretch the right leg long on the ground, heel down. Just kind of sense in, how is your pelvis in this position? Okay, a little diagnostics, and then put your right foot down and stretch your left heel on the ground, long leg. Notice if your hips did something weird, if they went offline in any way, restabilize them. And then you get to decide, put your feet on the ground. You can stay here in a supported low bridge, you can stretch both your heels straight to open up across the pelvis, or you can do one, repeating one side at a time. All right, so whatever you're choosing, we're breathing. If both legs are straight, you can have your feet hip width apart. You can have your legs a little wider. I just happen to have a wall that just happened to arrive right at my feet, which is so nice. That's not typically how I do it, but the wall's here, so I'm using it. And it feels good to have my feet against a wall, so you might want to try that. I don't know if it'll feel good to you. And then, of course, your arms can stretch overhead if you'd like, or you can keep them down at your sides. But big, full breath, no matter what variations you're doing. All right, and then let that go, and let's bring our knees. We're still on the low block. Bring your knees up, maybe bring them a little bit towards your chest, and then we'll lift them straight up in the air. Just letting your back rest, feeling the weight of your legs drop down toward your pelvis. How's your breathing here? Let's go ahead and bring the knees toward the chest, a little traction for your spine. And then relax your feet down onto the ground. Lift your hips, get your feet, your pelvis back onto the ground. Windshield wiper your knees. All right, pause here for a moment. Just feel the heads of the arm bones lift open, or drop, I should say, toward the ground, palms facing up. And then roll to your side. We have one more back bend to do, and then we'll get into releasing our hips and back. We're going to do heart bench, and you can do this with your two blocks at the same height, or the block under your head at a little higher height. Block between your shoulder blades can be long like this, or if you're not very tall, maybe across your shoulder blades might feel better. So find your path into this posture. So we're going to lie down with the block between our shoulder blades and the other block, whether at the same height or a little higher, underneath our skull. Right? Now, there's so many ways. This is a beautiful pose because we don't have to work so hard to open ourselves up. And sometimes that's a little better. We've done a lot of active back bends to kind of wake up the muscles that hold us in this space. And now we're going to imprint the openness. So you can choose to grab onto your elbows and stretch them over your head. You can have your arms out like a T, down by your sides, a little bit of a cactus, whatever feels really nice in your shoulders. All right, so we're finding our way here. Your legs can be bent, feet on the floor. Your legs can be straight. You can even put your legs in Baddha Konasana, whatever feels good to you. See if you can let the heads of the arm bones drop back. Feel the heart open. Melt the weight of your head and feel the expansiveness of your rib cage. So ready. You don't have to be. If you're like, oh, I love this pose so much, then just hang out for a little bit longer. But for some people, this can be an aggravating pose for the back. So if you're ready to come out, roll to your side, put a block under your head, and just pause here for a moment. Once you're ready to roll over onto your side, breathe into the back of your body. And let's move those blocks out of the way. Let's come on to our back. You can, of course, do regular pigeon pose if you prefer, or you can follow me. And I'm actually going to do this so that my foot is on the edge of my furniture. You could do a wall. You don't have to do it this way, but we just imprinted all this openness across our spine. So I don't want to kind of collapse that by bringing my hands around my leg for pigeon or reverse pigeon. So I'm going to do it with my foot against the furniture here. If you're in pigeon pose, square hips, long spine, rest your head. And same, reverse pigeon, square hips, long spine, rest your head. Keep breathing well. All right, let's come out of that side. And as we come to the second side, again, you can choose to use the wall or furniture. You can choose to come into pigeon pose. So whatever your choices are, try to keep your pelvis even so that you're, working from a very squared off place in your hips. Wide sit bones, long spine, heavy head. Breathing deeply. Notice if you're pulling on weird things in your back or your hips, try to find as neutral and passive as a place as you can get. All right, and then relax. Let's come on to your back and just rock a little bit, swaying through your hips. All right, while you're here, we'll come into right knee into your chest. Stretch your left leg long on the ground. And if you happen to have a strap, this is a good time for it. And we're going to do a one-legged hamstring stretch here, glute stretch here, so that our spine, what's nice about opening up the back body after back bends while lying on your back is that your spine stays neutral. So we get to just keep that imprint of the openness that we've cultivated without, if we were sitting and bending forward, chances are gravity would be pressing our spine down, we'd be rolling forward a little bit. So now we get to really accentuate that long spine. Let your right femur bone move away from your hip. The shoulders soften down. Those heads and the arm bones are still dropping. Flex your toes. Maybe have a little bit of stretch in your calf. Pause your breath. We're going to cross the right leg over to the left. So hold the strap in your left hand. And we're going to cross that leg over. Maybe the right hand wants to press into the hip crease. Maybe your head can get a little heavier. Back up. Put 2 feet into the strap for a moment. Just notice the difference between your two legs. Again, feeling that beautiful length in the spine
We're gonna stay in this position after we do the other leg for a bit longer. So now bring your right foot out of the strap on the ground. So your foot can be on the ground or your leg can be on the ground. Reach your left foot into the strap, drop your hip down. Feel the heads of the arm bones still have their capacity to settle toward the ground like when we began those bridge poses. Heavy head, heavy shoulders, long spine. The femur bone drops toward the earth. Working with the breath. And we're going to take the strap now into the right hand. We're going to cross the left leg over to the right. Maybe your left hand presses into the hip crease and just feel that long spine again. Finding your way into your breath. Notice all the lubrication that your body has now because of your practice. And lift that leg straight back up. And we'll take the 2 feet into the strap again. Have enough give on the strap where your arms are not, pulled way up toward your feet, but the heads of the arm bones can still rest down. Long spine, have a little teeny dip of the tail. So feeling like you're in just a little anterior tilt to the pelvis instead of what might naturally want to happen in a posterior tilt. So we can feel the teeniest of gap under our low back. Press through your feet up toward the sky, root your femur bones down toward the ground. Elongate your spine. Relax your head and shoulders. Release that strap, put the strap away for a minute, and we'll do a simple twist before we prepare for Shavasana here. So arms down at your sides, feet on the ground. Lift your hips, scoot them to the right, knees drop, or lift up toward your chest and drop over toward the left. Breathe here. Knees up. Come to neutral, moment there. And then hips to the left and drop your knees right. Rest your head, turn your head. Breathe deeply. All right, and then find your way back to neutral. Feet on the ground, knees bent. Kind of just maybe lift your hips and give your spine a good shake. And then just see, is there anything else that's needed before Shavasana? And if not, just let your body rest. You can always support underneath your knees with a bolster or blanket. You can always be on your side. You can always have your legs up on a chair. There's so many choices. Whatever you're doing, give your weight to the ground. Feel the fullness of your breathing and the heaviness and ease through your skull. Deepen your breath. Don't move yet, just feel your way, give yourself an opportunity to be very conscious in the body melting. Feel ready. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes and roll around in your ankles and your wrists. Feel a full big stretch if that's nice for you. Ease into your chest and rock a teeny bit. When you feel ready, but after you can do what's needed to make yourself feel good, let's find our way to a comfortable seat. Have such gratitude for our practice, for all the ways it shapes our body and its comforts, the ease we can find, the way it shapes our minds and the ease we can find, the way it shapes our spirits and the offerings we can give. Now for your practice now, send your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.